Miranda Lambert's sincerity and powerful voice have touched everyone, although others have accused her of being entitled for criticizing followers. Thanks to her extraordinary skill, she is able to evoke profound emotional responses from her listeners even when she sings about sensitive subjects like domestic violence, heartbreak, and self-empowerment. What really makes her unique is her extraordinary capacity to draw from her own life experiences. By following Miranda's story, we can see the heartbreaking struggle that exists beneath the glitter of fame and music. Miranda Lee Lambert was born in Longview, Texas on November 10, 1983. Lucy Miranda was named after her great-grandmother by her parents, Rick and Bev Lambert. Rick, her father, was a police officer in Dallas in the 70s. He could also create songs and play guitar, and even had a band named Contraband that played country rock. After Rick's daughter Miranda was born, he and his wife established a private investigation firm in Longview, where they also reared their daughter. Because of their skill, Rick and Bev quickly became successful. Their daughter was already an integral part of the team, assigned to unique cases, by the time she was 7 years old. Along with a second child, 2 cars, dogs, and some cattle, the family erected a new house. Prior to the oil catastrophe, everything was running smoothly. It devastated the Texas economy at the decade's close, impacting everyone. The family quickly lost everything when the work stopped pouring in. They uprooted and headed for Lindale, a little town with a school system that Bev had her heart set on. She registered Miranda for first grade and rented some property to keep their cattle. Although the kids and the animals improved, Rick deteriorated. A man whose heart was broken, he was sinking into depression. He continued to make the lengthy trek to Dallas in search of employment, but his despair only worsened. They rented a tiny house that was rat-ridden, but which they managed to patch up such that it could be lived in. Bev would drop Miranda off at school each day, and then she would go back to the farm to pray and feed the animals. "Please, God, put a firm foundation under me," she prayed. A few months down the road, Bev's prayers were answered when a former preacher offered her a larger farmhouse in exchange for her assistance in renovating it, along with a better dwelling and lower rent. The elderly man, according to Bev, had received a message from God. Paula Jones's attorneys retained Bev and Rick to investigate Bill Clinton after they had already spent some time in Lindale. They toiled away for 2.5 years to collect the documents that would be utilized to subpoena Clinton. After finishing their high-profile work, the husband and wife were able to start a faith-based organization that provided a safe haven for children and victims of domestic violence. Stated, "Our house was often packed with people. It is merely a dilapidated farmhouse. Those city dwellers I knew had pools and four-wheelers and all that schmancy stuff. We were country folks who grew our own veggies in a garden. And yet, 'Let's go to your house,' was their constant response. Just why, I wonder. It was because my house was so cozy, I now know. Not a single soul was turned away. She was engrossed with her studies throughout. She put up a lot of effort despite the fact that her grades weren't great, and was an enthusiastic young woman in all other areas of her life. She was an enthusiastic member of her church band. Her father took her to a Garth Brooks concert when she was 10 years old, when the singer was at the height of his fame. Finally, Miranda told her dad, 'Daddy, I hope to do that someday,' upon their return home. She had only ever performed in the church praise band up until this moment. She had the capacity, according to her father. Not long after that, he began to actively encourage her to pick up a guitar. Yet Miranda remained uninterested. At 14 years old, he finally bought her a guitar, but she still wasn't into it. Miranda was involved in all the typical activities that young girls do with their friends, like cheering, dancing, and playing sports, according to her father. Her time in high school was not without its share of problems, as is typical for adolescents. She struggled with her sense of self-worth and how she looked. She blamed her self-described horrible appearance on her regular attire of baggy slacks and t-shirts and her total absence of cosmetics. She may have been miserable as a teenager due to her lack of style sense, but the love of her family more than made up for it. Even though her parents' private detective firm brought other difficult factors into their lives, she had a special blend of affection and support while growing up with her brother Luke. Miranda and her brother were emotionally burdened by the effects of their parents' employment, even if they were not physically hurt. However, rather than pulling the children down, it strengthened them. She felt ready to compete in the True Value Country Showdown when she was 16 years old, after hearing the commercial on the radio. Noticing her interest in entering, her parents assisted her in recording 2 of her father's original songs using this. The competition accepted her. Even though she came up short, the constructive criticism she received served to boost her confidence. In Arlington, Texas, she debuted professionally on Johnny High Country Music Review. It was on this very talent contest that LeAnn Rimes got her start. It was a disappointing experience for her after she went to Nashville to record a demo following a musical conference. She was enraged because she was compelled to record solely pop music, which she thought sounded terrible and corny. I sobbed in the studio as she recounted what transpired thereafter. We had absolutely no money to pay my dad to make those demos. He spent $6,000. Worst thing ever. But he claims it was an inexpensive class since I figured out what I wanted to do in under 3 hours. When Miranda's time at the studio came to an end, she went back to her parents' house to beg her dad to teach her guitar so she could record her own music. Right away, she began penning musical compositions. The sudden ability was described by her. To this day, it is my sole area of natural talent. It was a struggle for me. School was a chore for me. Softball was the one sport in which I could improve. Even then, I was terrible. I had to stay after every game because I was a cheerleader. When I was younger, music was the first area in which my talent shone through. The Texas Pride Band was created by her while she was a high school student. They got their start as professional singers in Dallas at the Gypsy Tea Room in Deep Ellum. The following year, we started performing 45 miles away at Longview's famed Rio Palmile Ballroom as house band. Over the course of 3 nights a week, she was required to perform for 4 hours straight. Returning to Lindale at about 4 a.m. was her usual routine before waking up for school. I would tell my 17-year-old self that it's going to be okay, Miranda said. Her mom started looking into talent shows. After numerous failed attempts, Miranda landed one in Dallas. This landed her a contract with an agency, which in turn landed her a small role in a Ruffles potato chip commercial and a role in the 2001 teen comedy film Slapper, She's French. Miranda also competed in the Nashville musical Stand By Your Man, where she was nominated for the role of Tammy Wynette. She placed second out of 400 contestants. In the same year, she dropped a 10-song self-titled first album. The $2,000 CD with the songs was funded by her father, and her brother Luke made a website to sell it. In order to promote it and secure engagements, her mother took her to several venues, including radio stations and nightclubs. A sound system and equipment trailer were even included in the family's motorhome purchase. She gave her life to music after dropping out of high school early. I am here at my college, she declared. The things I've learned from simply being in the field cannot be taught in a classroom. The club's belief that girls can't draw made it difficult to gain entry at first. Plus, you are expected to sing Broken Wing on stage. Neither do I. I'm a guitar player and a writer. Miranda toured on her home state's music circuit throughout 2002 and placed 2 songs from her CD on the Texas music charts. In January 2003, she entered another talent contest and finished first in the Texas auditions for the nationally telecast Nashville Star Competition. This was when young Miranda left home for the first time and moved to Nashville to appear on the TV series. 5 months later, out of 8,000 contestants, she finished third on the show's finale. She worked with winner Buddy Jewell on his Sony CD. Tracy Gershon, a Sony music executive and Nashville Star judge, had noticed Miranda during her time on the TV series and persuaded the label to sign her. And on September 15, 2003, Miranda became a Sony artist herself. In appreciating the show that got her signed, Miranda had this to say, "I always say that Nashville Star saved me from 5 more years in the honky-tonks." But she also added that she was still scared to death to sign that recording contract. "I was afraid they'd change me. I was worried they'd take my songs that didn't sound like anyone else's and produce them just like the next record down the street. I did not want it to be the typical Nashville record. I have my own style. I want to be my own person. There are a million blonde chicks who can sing. I've always wanted to be different. Her solution was simple. Sit down and tell it like it is. She described the meeting with Sony's top brass. We convened. There were no spare Sony employees. Okay, this is me, I thought as I took my place at the head of the table, crossed my arms, and sat down. I only outlined it. A Texan here. I pen all of my own works. Offer some commentary. No way am I going to perform a twirl in a halter top. The guitar will never leave my side. I would prefer to return to Texas and perform as before if I am unable to create an album that accurately portrays who I am. Please let me know right away if you intend to be my boss. Miranda's emotions were all over the place. But the following statements made by the chief of the label startled her, as far as she was concerned. Go make your record, John Grady told her. The summer of 2004 saw the release of her debut album, Kerosene. She wrote or co-wrote 11 of the album's 12 tracks. Her dad and Heather Little collaborated on the song, Me and Charlie Talking, the first single. According to Miranda, no one showed up to the studio, thus John Grady kept his promise. No one rocked me with tunes. I gave them a listen to the songs a few months down the road. You did an incredible job, they exclaimed. It was occurring to her, which made it all the more unbelievable. This can't be real, Miranda kept telling herself. Everything had been going swimmingly. Each step of this trail has been meticulously laid out. However, she came to the realization that she was intended to do this after that. I can hardly contain my enthusiasm. It seems like everything is finally coming together for me now. In its first week of release, the album topped Billboard's ranking for country music albums. After selling over 1 million copies, the RIA finally gave it the platinum certification. The album's title tune was one of 4 songs to reach the top 40 on Billboard Country, while another 2 reached the top 20. Along with Toby Keith, Dierks Bentley, and Keith Urban, Miranda was also a tour companion. She took home the Cover Girl Fresh Face of Country Music Award at 2005's 40th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards in Las Vegas. Also that year, she had a chance to win a Horizon Award from the Country Music Association. May 1, 2007, saw the release of her second studio album, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Out of the album's 11 tracks, 4 of which were singles, she penned 8. She possesses charisma and talent comparable to Dolly Parton, another once underappreciated blonde beauty, according to The New Yorker, who felt the record proved it. But there was an issue. Country radio stations weren't playing Miranda's music. Her tracks never made it past number 15 on Billboard's Hot Country list, which surprised those who were watching the music scene back then. Her persistent failure to get into the top tier of the singles charts was undeniably disheartening. I really don't get radio, she said. I prefer to keep my personality subtle and unassuming. Someone in the million doesn't. There is nothing I could have done differently. Plus, I wouldn't be me if I changed a thing, so I won't. But I'm really frustrated. In response to why Miranda's music wasn't charting in the top 10s, Greg Swedberg, program director for country station Key at the time, gave an answer. He stated that Miranda was one of the most talented females they had and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was an awfully good record. He suspected that anybody who bought the album would be really happy they did, yet he didn't think there was anything like a hit on the CD. His words, "Here 11 really good songs, but I don't think there's a giant anthem. Gunpowder Lead is one of the nastiest songs I've heard in any genre, and I love it. But I don't think it's a #1 record because it's too angry." Despite her songs not reaching the top percentile of country radio, Miranda received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for her single, Kerosene. She also won the top New Female Vocalist Award at the 2007 Academy of Country Music Awards. At the 2008 edition, her second album, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, won Album of the Year. The following year, she released her third album, Revolution, on September 29, 2009. She co-wrote 11 of the album's 15 tracks. Other co-writers on the album included Dave Haywood and Charles Kelly of Lady Antebellum and Blake Shelton. Miranda's third Revolution upon its release received a lot of praise from the likes of Rolling Stone, Boston Globe, and Slant Magazine. Entertainment Weekly called the release the best mainstream country album so far this year. She sang her new single, Dead Flowers, at the 44th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards on April 5, 2009, and released it almost a month later. It was a top 40 hit. The album's second single, White Liar, was released on August 17th and debuted at number 50 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. But by February 2010, White Liar became Miranda's first top 5 hit, reaching a peak of number 2 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. Then the album's third single, The House That Built Me, was released the following month, and it became a number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, where it stayed for 4 weeks. It received an RIA Platinum certification on July 8th. Miranda had achieved what many had termed impossible, but it still wasn't over. Her album's fourth single, Only Prettier, and its accompanying music video went viral. It featured cameo appearances by fellow country artists Kelly Pickler, Laura Bell Bundy, and Hillary Scott of Lady Antebellum. By December, Only Prettier reached a peak of number 12 on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, giving Miranda her 7th top 20 hit. Finally, she released the 5th and final single of the Revolution album, Heart Like Mine, and it became her second number 1 hit on the country charts. By the end of 2010, Miranda had gotten a record 9 CMA Award nominations. She performed at the 44th Annual Country Music Association Awards and won the CMA Award for Female Vocalist of the Year and her Revolution 1 Album of the Year. Very early the following year, Miranda started the year with a bang, winning a Grammy Award in the Best Female Country Vocal Performance category for The House That Built Me. In 2012, she decided to embark on a new project, the girl group Pistolanis. The members included her, Ashley Monroe, and Angelina Presley. They released their single Hell on Heels in May and their debut album Hell on Heels a few months later. The album debuted at number 1 on Billboard's country chart. On February 8, 2012, fans were shocked to see Miranda on NBC's long-running legal drama, Law Order Special Victims Unit, in an episode titled Father's Shadow. This was her acting debut, although she later said she was a big fan of the show. When asked if she had become an actress, she answered, "Never wanted to act. I still don't. I don't want to be an actress. I just wanted to be on that show mainly so I could be a groupie for their autographs." True to her words, she returned to music and released her 5th album, Platinum, in 2014. 2 years later, she released her 6th studio album, The Weight of These Wings, and the 3rd Pistolanis album. In March 2016, she performed her first ever show outside the US and Canada as one of the headliners of Country to Country, Europe's biggest country music festival. Miranda played alongside Dwight Yoakam, Thomas Rhett, and Ashley Monroe, touring from England to Scotland and Ireland. On her return in 2019, her 7th album Wildcard came out. The album went on to be nominated for both ACM and CMA Album of the Year and won the 2021 Grammy for Best Country Album. In 2021, Miranda released a collaborative and new project, the Marfa Tapes, which she did with long-term friends John Randall and Jack Ingram. The media even labeled this as her best work yet. She then released her 9th studio album, Palomino, and Pistolani's Christmas album. Despite her incredible success in music and business, Miranda has had her ups and downs in love. She and singer Blake Shelton first connected at the CMT 100 Greatest Duets concert in 2005. She also provided backup vocals for his rendition of Michael Bublé's song, Home, which shot to the top of the Hot Country Songs list. Following a 4-year dating relationship, Shelton proposed to Miranda on May 9, 2010, in the woods close to her Tishomingo, Oklahoma home. Miranda, who was 27 then, said, "I'm just excited to get married because I want to tell Blake I really can love him for the rest of my life and be happy and make him happy." On May 14, 2011, Shelton and Miranda were legally wed. On Saturday night, they exchanged vows at the Don Strange Ranch in Bourne, Texas, located north of San Antonio. The celebration ran late with guests like Dierks Bentley, Laura Bell Bundy, Katherine Heigl, Josh Kelly, Reba, Kelly Clarkson, and Dierks Bentley. After 4 years of marriage, Shelton and Miranda announced their divorce on July 20, 2015. They released their statement saying, "The last time the public saw them together was at the Greenbrier Classic Music Series in West Virginia." Dated a few more times for a while after. For years after her divorce on January 26, 2019, Miranda shocked her fans by disclosing that, in addition to a new romance, she had recently wed Brendan McLaughlin in secret. She posted on Instagram with two adorable pictures from their joyous day. She added, "My heart is overflowing. Thank you, Brendan McLaughlin, for loving me for me." Brendan McLaughlin welcomed a child from a prior relationship who was born in November 2018. This made Miranda the stepmother of a 3-month-old baby. While enjoying her new family in 2023, Miranda co-authored a cookbook titled, "Y'all Eat Yet?" Welcome to the Pretty Bee Tichin Kitchen with Holly Gleason for Day Street Books. Another change in her life that year was the fact that she left Sony Music Nashville after 19 years. In April 2024, she announced that she had signed a joint deal with Republic Records and Big Loud. She also said the first single under the new contract, Wranglers, which was released on May 3, 2024, would serve as the lead single to her 10th studio album, Postcards from Texas. The promotional single, Damn It Randy, was released on June 28, 2024, a song she co-wrote with her husband, Brendan. Miranda had passed through it all, from the child who dared to dream and chase her dreams, to the teenager who never backed down, to the woman who never allowed a broken marriage to break her. She has held on to herself and overcome every challenge to start this new chapter with Brendan. Fans can't wait to see her flirt